Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Padrajakacharya Astra Tarsata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jam Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Padrajakacharya Astra Tarsata Shishimad Shringa Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Ananti Kodi Vaishnavinda Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Premsako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ganga Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Gornitai Ki Jai Their Divine Lordship Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Shrimati Subhadra Ki Jai Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Jaga Ki Jai Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol All glories to the Summa Devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the Summa Devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the Summa Devotees Hare Krishna all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the third canto, chapter 17, text number 16. Victory of Hiranyaksha over all the directions of the universe. And today our topic will be overcoming inner demons and applying ancient wisdom to modern life. Because in the verse today it says, Twav Adi Daicho, these two demons in the beginning of creation. So this is what they're here. So there's a nice quote I'd like to start off with today. It says, the battle line between good and evil runs through the heart of every man. And so the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So this is how Jai and Vijay, once doorkeepers in the hall, cursed to be angry against God's grace, they'd fall. This was in the 15th chapter. So they had to take 3 births. Actually, they took 4. So here they are, born from deity. The demons stood tall. Adorned in riches, they thought they had it all. So let's dive into the verse. We'll come back. Tavari daityo sahasa Vyajamanatma purusho Varidhate sma sarena Kayanadripati iva Tavari daityo sahasa Vyajamanatma purusho Varidhate sma sarena Kayanadripati iva Tavaridaityo sahasa Vyajamatma purusho Varidhate sma sarena Kayanadripati iva Sahasa Dane Sarena Patina Tavarite Sasa Yajamanatma Purusha Vavirate Svansarena Kayanadripativa Vaishnavis Tavaridacho Sahasa Vyajamanatma Purusha Vavidate sma sarena Tena Paritaya Kayadata Sahasa Vyajamanatma Purusha Vavidate sma sarena Kayanadripati iva Tao. Those 2, Adidaito, demons in the beginning of creation. Sahasa, quickly. Vyajamana, being manifest. Atma, own. Purusha, prowess. Vavridhate grew. Asmasarena, still like. Kayena, with bodily frames. Atripati, two great mountains. Eva, like. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. These two demons who appeared in ancient times soon began to exhibit uncommon bodily features. They had still-like frames, which began to grow, just like two great mountains. Purport. There are two classes of men in the world. One is called the demon, and the other is called the demigod. The demigods concern themselves with the spiritual upliftment of human society, whereas the demons are concerned with physical and material upliftment. The two demons born of Diti began to make their bodies as strong as iron frames, and they were so tall they seemed to touch outer space. They were decorated with valuable ornaments, and they thought that this was success in life. Originally, it was planned that Jai and Vijay, the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, were to take birth in the material world, where, by the curse of the sages, they were to play the part of always being angry with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As demoniac persons, they became so angry that they were not concerned with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but simply with physical comforts and physical upliftment. So these two classes in this world, it's very distinct and clear here. So these demons chase wealth, but these demigods, they hold what's dear, and that's Krishna. Jai. Om Jnana Tamadandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshus Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upagadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Vanchakopa Tubhischa Kripasindu Vivicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So the verse again. These two demons who appeared in ancient times soon began to exhibit uncommon bodily features. They had still-like frames which began to grow just like two great mountains. So you can see here these two great demons. So the main point of the third canto is that Krishna, through his various incarnations, and you can see here too, that he repeatedly saves his devotees and even those who come to harm Krishna. So by surrendering to Krishna and practicing Krishna consciousness, we can be assured of his protection and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So as Krishna promises to take care of those who sincerely devote themselves to him, and then sinful reactions can be nullified through surrender and dedicated service to Krishna. So Krishna in divine forms brings salvation near. He saves the devotees, dispels every fear. Surrender to him and sinful ties will sever. In his love's embrace we'll find life's true treasure. So here we see Satyuga, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So in the 7th canto it talks about this demoniac, this demon that appeared, Hiranyaksha. So it was a perpetual cosmic struggle between demons and demigods for the dominance of the universe. And it mentioned that the planets can float as weightless spheres under specific conditions, but can fall into the Garbhodak ocean if disturbed. And Prabhupada relates that the drilling of the earth for resources by our modern society is likened to a disturbance caused by demons in the past. So we see this as repeating history. So in this chapter describes how Vishnu took the form of the Lord Boar to rescue the earth when it fell into the ocean. So this shows that he's the maintainer of the mature world. And there's a beautiful poem from Jayadev Goswami. O Keshava, O Supreme Lord, who have assumed the form of a boar, O Lord, the planet Earth rested on your tusks, and it appeared like the moon engraved with spots. So that was Hiranyaksha. So Hiranyakashipu, he underwent severe austerities, and penances to try to become eternal. But his worshipful deity Brahma could not satisfy him with such blessings. But therefore, Vishnu, no one else, is called Muktipada, or the personality who can bestow upon us liberation. In the first canto, it also describes there how in Krishna is the source of all incarnations. It's the 14th incarnation where the Lord appeared as Nrsimha, and he bifurcated this strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails, just as a carpenter pierces cane. So you can see here's the fight between the two demons. So we'll just skip this part and go. This is where they were cursed. There are doorkeepers in the hall, and they were angry. Then they were forced to become angry against God's grace. And so here, in this chapter, just to kind of give you a little summary, it talks about how the demigods were relieved when Brahma explained the cause of the cosmic darkness. It was the birth of these two demons, the sons of Diti. And this shows even celestial beings, they experience fear. So Diti gave birth to these twin sons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And after an unusually long 100-year pregnancy, their birth caused many natural disturbances and inauspicious omens throughout the universe. So these twin demons, they grew rapidly in size and strength due to the benedictions from Brahma. And Hiranyakashipu could not be killed by anyone in the material universe. So Hiranyaksha, he had an aggressive temperament and traveled the universe looking for battles to satisfy his brother Hiranyakashipu. And then Hiranyaksha challenged Varuna, the lord of the oceans, but Varuna declined, saying, he was now too old for battle. But he advised Hiranyaksha that only Lord Vishnu in his boar incarnation would be able to match him in battle. So he warned this battle would lead to Hiranyaksha's death. So in summary, it establishes the demoniac nature and might of this Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, as well as the disturbances caused by demoniac beings. And it sets up this forthcoming battle between Lord Vishnu and his Varaha incarnation and Hiranyaksha. So in essence, you see the demons, they're these persons that cause harm through their aggression, their pride, and lust for power. But the Supreme Lord incarnates to defeat such demons and protect the pious. So we must seek goodness over the demoniac qualities. In the purports to this chapter, Srila Prabhupada really brings out a lot more understanding about what's going on. So I'll just read a few points that I captured here. So natural disturbances indicate a rise in demoniac persons. Following Vedic principles of righteous living keeps demoniac tendencies in check. Demoniac civilization values brute strength and material power over spiritual progress, but material power is temporary. So this is the demoniac mentality. Prabhupada explains that it exploits the resources for selfish ends rather than serving God. That's what creates the disturbance. So they may appear powerful, Prabhupada mentions, for some time through their own pacts and their boons, but they still can't escape death. So Krishna arranges for their demise. So then it talks about how the Supreme Lord incarnates to defeat these demons and protect the pious. and restore the balance between good and evil. So in Srila Prabhupada's purports, he provides a very deep philosophical insight into the nature of the demoniac persons and their temporary power, and how the Lord counters them to uphold Dharma. So we must be aware of the demoniac tendencies in ourselves and society. So this is the pastime that's containing profound truths for facing our modern demons within and without. So we'll go on here. We'll just skip this part. So just to give you a little overview here too of these, there's actually chapters 17 to 19 is the pastimes of Lord Vraha. And so we're here in this particular chapter, 17, where the victory of Hiranyaksha over all the directions in the universe. And then we're in this particular section where the brothers are growing up. So in this particular verse, it talks about how there's actually these three verses. It actually starts from 16 to 19, which is today's verse. So these two original demons, they're like two mountains, and they immediately displayed valor, and they grew up with bodies like steel. So Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur talks about how, in spite of the curse of the Brahmanas, these two devotees of the Lord were still superior. And to make this known, this verse shows that they didn't have a trace of hellish suffering, though they performed many sinful acts without pious acts. And they attained lordship over the three worlds with power, enjoyment, and wealth. So they're not ordinary demons. So you can see. So this shows that they were still superior because they were devotees of Krishna. So they came for this pastime. So in the next verse, we'll see how they touched the sky. They blocked all directions with the crest of their golden helmets. With blazing bracelets on their arms, they stood shaking the earth at every step, surpassing the sun with their belted waists. And then Kashyapa, he named them to, he gave names to his sons. And I guess they performed some kind of ritual, these samskars that he was talking about yesterday in class. So, and then the text 19, by the power of his arms and assisted by Brahma's boons, Hiranyakashipu, proud and unafraid of death, controlled the three worlds and their devas. So it's described here that the power of his arms indicates that Brahma's blessing helped him in strength. But in parentheses, Vishnava Chakravarti Thakur says that though the main reason was that he was a devotee of the Lord. So this is very, very interesting. Okay, so here. So the root of demoniac tendencies within the human psyche and how they manifest individually and collectively, it's described in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, in the divine and demoniac natures. And this is a verse here, text number 6. Dvo bhuta sargo lokesmin daiva sureva cha daivo vistarasa prokta asuram partha me shrinu. So this is a translation. O son of Prita, in this world there are two kinds of created beings. One is called the divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. So don't be fooled. We may think, one side's the demon, one side is the devotee. But actually we're reading in this chapter that there's some demons that are devotees. And we read out throughout the Bhagavatam that, there's some great demons that are great devotees of Krishna. And then also there's so-called devotees, they're actually demons. But here, just to give you an idea that within us, we have these. So Prabhupada explains in that purport to the Bhagavad Gita, he says again, the conditioned living entities are divided into two classes in this world. Those who are born with divine qualities follow a regulated life. That is to say, they abide by the injunctions in the scriptures and by the authorities. one should perform duties in the light of authoritative scripture. This mentality is called divine. One who does not follow the regulative principles as are laid down in the scriptures and who acts according to his whims is called demoniac or asuric. There is no other criterion but obedience to the regulative principles of scriptures. It is mentioned in Vedic literature that both the demigods and the demons are born of the Prajapati. The only difference is that one class obeys the Vedic injunctions and the others don't. So many places Prabhupada talks about these two classes of men, throughout his purports and explains more in detail about them. So these lessons of the demoniac qualities, they actually lie within all of us. So we have to be vigilant in our own tendencies toward defying Krishna's authority, which results in aggression, exploitation, arrogance. So this true power actually comes from spiritual development, not material strength. So it provides selfless devotional service that's more important than dominating others. So we all face these inner and battles between the divine and demoniac. So by daily, obediently practicing these transcendental activities, then we get wisdom, integrity, selfless action in our service, and then we nurture our spiritual natures, and which will cultivate harmonious inner world and an outer world, which will be aligned with Krishna's will. So here we go. So the victory of good over evil is a timeless message. Actually, these ancient scriptures, they provide lessons to help us recognize and overcome our own inner demons. So applying eternal wisdom, we can defeat the ego and negativity and manifest our higher divine nature. So here just to show another contrast of one who's actually externally absorbed and attached and trying to gain, and one who's internally absorbed, becoming introspective and trying to gain wisdom and understanding. So we can see how nature is so beautiful, how it's God's creation, and how if we live in harmony with nature, how beautiful it is. And just like when we hear about different kings and rulers, when they were kings, it rained at the right time, the vegetables would just grow automatically, there would be abundance of jewels and minerals, herbs, like this all throughout society. We see what happens when the demoniac qualities of society, they began to disturb nature. We have political turmoil, there's divisions among people, and this arises when we act on anger, greed, envy, violence, rather than cultivating this wisdom and self-control and compassion. So even though these demons, they may temporarily prosper, these divine laws ensure their downfall. So we need courageous voices who can challenge this unrighteousness when it arises. So, and the divine will support those who speak truth to power. So in that same chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, there's another verse. It says, those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. So we see here it's highlighting the demoniac tendencies. And then Prabhupada mentions in that purport that demons are not clean either externally or internally. One should always be careful to keep his body clean by bathing, brushing teeth, shaving, changing clothes, etc. As far as internal cleanliness is concerned, one should always remember to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. But the demons, they don't like these rules. So this has to be brought up. And then there's the next verse in the 16th chapter. They say that this world is unreal, with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. So this verse in purport describes the demoniac perspective that views the world as unreal, lacking a divine creator or a purpose or having a spiritual essence. It's only for gaining something for themselves, and they disregard all the teachings of the scriptures. So we could see global warming. If you could just imagine all these different things happening at once, the global warming, fires, floods, cyclones, and earthquakes. In the 16th chapter also there's that verse. Following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. So this verse shows how these demoniac individuals lacking intelligence and spiritual understanding, they engage in destructive actions that harm the world. So their materialistic pursuits, their inventions, they may seem as advancement, but actually it leads to violence, cruelty, and potential for world destruction. So this verse indirectly alludes to the creation of destructive weapons, like nuclear arms, emphasizing that such development arises from godlessness and can pose a serious threat to global peace and prosperity. So the rest of the 16th chapter, it just goes on and reveals all the demoniac qualities, how they have insatiable lust, pride, they disregard scriptural principles, and they prioritize sensual gratification. They accumulate wealth, they act against moral and religious guidelines, they're arrogant, envious, and ignore the existence of God. So this is their mindset, and you could just go on and on about all their material desires and bad habits. So we need spiritual warriors. So first you may think, well, a spiritual warrior, that's paradoxical. How can a warrior be spiritual? And yet if we think about it, we realize that warriors fight and often sacrifice their lives to preserve what they believe in and protect their family and country. And we see that happen just in our own country here in America, how the American Indians, they would live in harmony with nature, and they try to protect and stand up for their rights. But ultimately, the demons took over. So we need these spiritual warriors. There's wonderful books by Bhaktitirtha Swami. He had a whole series on the spiritual warrior. I'm sure many of you have seen them. Very wonderful books. And he talks about this true spiritual warrior. He actually strives to master the weapons of love, humility, compassion, faith, and self-knowledge. And our battleground is the realm of human consciousness, where we wage war against ignorance and lust that now pervades human society like an occupying army. So our objective is a civilization where people live in harmony with each other and with God, awakened and in tune with the effulgent spiritual environment that is available to us. So toward these ends, we endeavor to develop ourselves and share our understanding with the people we meet, giving them tools they need to discover and experience the truth for themselves. So Bhaktitirtha Swami, he's helped a great many people persevere and succeed in their spiritual battles, whether as heads of state or heads of households. It's amazing what he did. So in his books, he explores some of the contributing factors, including the ways in which we allow ourselves to become victims. And finally, he provides for practical insights and exercises for purifying and fortifying ourselves and our communities on a daily basis. So these techniques, when they are properly applied, they can transform our exhaustion into exhilaration, and our stress into success, and our greatest difficulties into our most exciting adventures. So in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, encouraged Krishna, who's literally a warrior, to take up arms against the forces of ignorance and fear. So in conclusion, we could see the real spiritual warrior, the modern day knight, or you could say even Jedi, should be called to action. There's some nice quotes about calling to action. I'd like to read some of those. It says, "We must be the change we see in the world." That was by Mahatma Gandhi. "When the whole world is silent, even our one voice becomes powerful. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens or devotees can change the world. The time is always right to do what is right. Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Be the light that helps others see. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen." So we have to apply these teachings to overcome negativity and, manifest positive change. So contemporary challenges require us to heed the wisdom of the ages. Even though it's ancient, we can apply it today. And these ancient texts, they provide like a mirror for self-reflection and growth. So we have to challenge each other and, to manifest good and defeat the inner demons. So we can walk this heroic path. And, the knights in shining armor, as they say in the West. So this is what we have to do. So we have to be authentic spiritual practitioners in the midst of so much materialistic temptations so that we can overcome these tendencies and develop the divine qualities. Actually, the divine qualities are listed in the 16th chapter also. I just like to mention those again, which are nice to try to always hear and try to imbibe. Fearlessness. So the true devotees are fearless, having complete faith in the Supreme. Purification of existence. They're continually striving to purify their hearts and minds. Cultivation of spiritual knowledge. They seek wisdom and self-realization. Charity. They engage in acts of charity and selfless giving. Self-control. They practice restraint over their desires and senses. Performance of sacrifice. They offer selfless service and sacrifice for the greater good. Study of the Vedas. They engage in the study of the sacred scriptures for spiritual growth. Austerity. They embrace discipline and ascetic practices. Simplicity. They lead simple and straightforward lives. Nonviolence. They adhere to nonviolence and harmlessness. Truthfulness. They always speak the truth. Freedom from anger. They remain calm and composed. Renunciation. They detach from material possessions. Tranquility. They maintain inner peace and serenity. Aversion to fault-finding. They avoid fault-finding and criticizing others. Compassion for all living entities. They show compassion and kindness to all beings. Freedom from covetousness. They are content and not greedy. Gentleness. They are gentle in their interactions. Modesty. They are humble and not arrogant. Steady determination. They have unwavering determination in their spiritual pursuits. Vigor. They possess enthusiasm and energy. Forgiveness. They forgive others' faults. Fortitude. They endure difficulties with patience. Cleanliness. They maintain physical and mental cleanliness. Freedom from envy. They are free from jealousy. Freedom from the passion for honor. They're not driven by desire for recognition. So those are the 26 qualities that are mentioned in the first verse in the 16th chapter, first few verses. And then it mentions the 6 demoniac qualities: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. So we kind of discussed those. So we have to get control of these, our emotions, and we have to seek clarity by studying, have our personal integrity, treat others with kindness and generosity, and continuously improve. So these are high standards. We should make it a way of life, mold our life around these qualities. So here's some of our modern warriors. Example of modern voices, movements challenging unrighteousness and speaking truth to power. So this is Devavrata and Bhakti-Dani. Some event, I'm not sure where that was. Mind, Body, Soul. It's nice, yeah. And here's some more on campus. Bhakti-Dani Suvarna Bindu and Mother Karuna. As we said, be the light that helps others see. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. And here we go. There's that Bhakti Kir giving the class. And also Bhakti Jimmy, I heard, was doing wisdom talks. Is that true? Yeah, so when the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed devotees can change the world. These are quotes. So there was Maharaj Yudhisthira. He performed a Rajasuya sacrifice because he understood that Krishna was the purpose of his living. Everything should be offered to him. And in this way he ruled his kingdom. And that's why when during his rule, it's described that the cloud showered all the water that people needed. The earth produced all the necessities of man in profusion. And due to its fatty milk bag and cheerful attitude, the cow used to moisten the grazing ground with milk. So it just shows how the importance of a simple and sustainable way of life. Because during Maharaj Yudhisthira's reign, the earth provided abundantly for human needs, and cows, the vital source of sustenance. They were very well cared for. So this verse, it questions the necessity of the modern economic development machinery, artificial luxuries, when the earth actually naturally offers grains, fruits, milk, and other necessities. And it condemns the killing of innocent animals in slaughterhouses. So this is all brought out through the Bhagavatam and all the different verses. So it highlights the value of a society based on nonviolence. Equality, fraternity, contrasting it with the current dog-eat-dog mentality driven by greed and artificial desires. So it's calling for humans to live in harmony with nature, follow a path that respects the environment and all creatures. So actually, like they read this morning in the forest of Namashranya, the sages gathered, led by Sanika. They convened a 1,000-year sacrifice aimed at pleasing the Lord and his devotees. And so this sacred place, it curtails the strength of the demoniac. So the sages' purpose was to perform these rituals solely for the satisfaction of Vishnu. And understanding that actions not aligned with this principle lead to further bondage. So they sought to bring peace and prosperity to all. And so this is realize that if we actually take up the chanting, we can awaken people from their detachment from Krishna and usher in that inner peace. So this is the whole message of the Srimad Bhagavatam, is to do that. So here we see, as we mentioned, the main point of the third canto, Krishna, through his various incarnations, he repeatedly saves his devotees and even those who come to harm him. So by surrendering to Krishna and practicing Krishna consciousness, one can be assured of his protection and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So Krishna promises to take care of those who sincerely devote themselves to him, and all our sinful actions will be eradicated. So Krishna in divine forms brings salvation near, saves devotees, dispels every fear. Surrender to him and sinful ties will sever. In his love's embrace, we find life's true treasure. So I'd like to end there and open up for any comments, questions, realizations. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So this is a very important image, the deities. We may say we come and pray to the deities for protection, and in so many different ways. But even these pictures will protect you in your homes. And we were just discussing last night, right, about how our dear friend here from South Africa, Namacharya, they had a picture of Rukmini Dwarkadish in their home. And he could tell you the story. I'll tell you after this, you can mention, okay? That'd be nice. Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I was wondering why there's so many, why there are 26 divine qualities and there are only 6 demoniac qualities. Why is it given in this way? Seems a little unbalanced.
You want to have more demoniac qualities?
No, I'm wondering why there's so few. Why it's just 6?
No, there's actually more. Actually, the whole chapter from text number 6 onward is all about the demoniac qualities. But in the first 5 verses, he mentions divine qualities. Then he mentions those 6 demoniac qualities. And then he goes on more, encouraged Arjuna, you don't have these demoniac qualities. I mean, you have these divine qualities. So then he goes on the rest of the chapter describing all the demoniac qualities. And we went through those in the slides, how they think that there's no God in control. They perform acts to destroy the world. We show those images. So it goes on and on. If you read that whole chapter, you'll see it's all described there. So, and we'll see how Krishna, the main point of this 3rd canto is Krishna in his different incarnations, he protects us. Even the deities, even the picture of the deity. And we could hear a story from Namacharya in South Africa. He had a picture of our Rukmini Dwarkadish in his house. Why don't you give him the mic and he could tell you the story. It's very nice. Yeah, it's a beautiful story.
Hare Krishna. It was in November 2006. I think it was 16th of November 2006. We returned home and we're in South Africa, so it's a bit more demoniac now. So we were surrounded by 5 gunmen in our yard. And we had no way to escape. We just had a corridor leading to the house. So I thought quickly and I said, in these cases, people do not survive. So why should I die without, surrendering to Krishna? So I started shouting to Krishna to please protect us, And then eventually we went into the house through the front door. And when you go through the front door, on the right-hand side is my altar. And they asked us to kneel down. And I knelt down and I was looking directly at Srila Prabhupada. And when I saw Prabhupada, I had no fear. Meanwhile, Kishori, she walked straight, without even noticing, how dangerous these people are. And one of them asked her, where are you going? She says, no, I'm going to put the alarm off. And in fact, we'd never had the alarm on. But, she went in and started phoning for help. Meanwhile, we were all kneeling in front of the altar. And I was fearless through Srila Prabhupada's glance. And there was a picture of Rukmini Dwarkadish on our entrance, on the side. And I pointed to them and I said, this is my Lord and he's going to save me tonight. And those people, those thieves looked at Krishna and they began to shiver. And they're 5 gunmen with guns. They began to shiver and they ran out of the house. And we were not touched.
Jai. Rukmini Dwarkadish ki jai.
Jai.
Jai. Jai. Thank you. Thank you. That's a beautiful story. Any other comments, questions? Jai. Okay, well, thank you for your kind attention. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.